So here's the rig. It's the 2009 Electra Glide, ultra classic. It's not a police model. It's an ultra classic with a police seat. I have the regular seat. I have the big tour pack, of course, for the back, and I can transform this back into a geezer glide in about an hour. Put the seat back on and the tour pack back on, and get all that connected back up if I want to take a long trip. I also have a back seat that matches the police seat, so we can go kind of any way we want. These touring frames are all the same. Most of you Harley guys would know that. Touring frame is a touring frame. Either it's the Road Glide, the Electra Glide, Electra Glide Ultra, the Ultra Limited, the Road King. A touring frame is a touring frame, and then they build all the other different kind of bikes on the same frame in the touring class. So you can make this a police bike, you can make a police bike into a ultra, you can do anything you want. It's just the different accessories and farkles. So this one's got the Vance & Hines Power Duals, Vance & Hines Monster Ovals, S&S Stealth Air Cleaner, Andrews 57H camshafts, S&S adjustable push rods, Screaming Eagle cam bearings, and S&S performance lifters. That's kind of it for the mods on this guy, and a few of the usual Harley farkles like the lenses on the... I got the run stop turn kit in so that the turn signals are also brake lights and running lights. You got to light yourself up out here these days, I think. That's a big help. I've also got LEDs in the front. I got the custom dynamics turn signals front and rear, which double as daytime running lights. And I've got a custom dynamics fender tip light in as well. The more light you can get, the better. It really helps, I think, with the getting noticed. And I've noticed since I've lit this bike up in the front, I have a lot less people turning left in front of me. People tend to freeze and kind of wait for you to get by. So it seems to be working, and it's worth doing. And certainly lighting up the back is real important, especially if you're sitting alone at a stoplight in the middle of the night. I see a lot of these young guys sitting at lights, hands on the tank, hands on their hips, trying to be all cool, sitting there with the bike in neutral and playing with their phones and not looking in the mirrors. And man, you get hit from the back, even at a low speed, you're going to get jettisoned out into the intersection where you're going to get T-boned. So I would advise you to sit at a light in gear with your right hand on the brake and your eyes in both mirrors, watching what's coming up behind you. It happened to me, probably 25, 30 years ago. Excuse me, just getting over a cold. I got hit by an old lady at a stoplight. I was sitting at a light minding my own business. I wasn't paying attention to what was going on behind me. I did have my hand on the front brake. I did have the bike in first gear, but I never saw her coming. And it was just an old lady, and she just had their, lost her depth perception, and she bumped me. She bumped me good. And I got jettisoned right off the motorcycle, onto the ground, and the bike went a couple of feet and fell over. But had I not been in gear, and had I not had my hand on the brake, I'd have been shoved right out into a busy intersection where I would certainly been T-boned by a dump truck or anything else that happened to be going through at that time. So, anyway, that's a whole other deal. You got to be careful out here, and you can't get complacent. And man, like I said, I see these guys sitting at stoplights, hands on their hips, both hands resting on the tank, texting on the phone. Especially you think somebody's, you got a car behind you, you think you're safe. You're not. So somebody hits him, he's going to hit you. And it happens, and it happens more and more often now with just people distracted. So anyway, back to the whole Harley thing. Since I'm a lifelong metric guy and I'm just getting into this whole kind of Harley universe here. The Harleys do make a lot of racket. As around that fact. But they make two kinds of racket with these things. There's a little bit of racket to get some performance out of them. Because let's face it, a 45-degree angled V-twin, 2 cylinders, is not the most efficient thing in the world. It is by no means a groundbreaking design here in 2016. Matter of fact, it's probably woefully inefficient. But, you know, this is a patented engine design on Harley's part, this 45-degree V-twin. It is what makes a Harley a Harley. That sound, that lumpy idle, is driven by the firing order of the 2 pistons. So, in order for a Harley to meet today's emission standards, they leave the factory pretty restricted. They're running super lean, and the engine is just really restricted. It's not breathing well, either on the intake side or the exhaust side. So to get them to run right, you know, a lot of guys put slip-ons on just to get them to sound like something, because they want that classic Harley blub blub blub. But to really get them to run right, to get your money's worth out of this V-twin, you got to put an air cleaner on it. You got to take that restrictive air box off. You got to put headers on it, and you got to put, you know, a decent performance set of mufflers on them to get them to run right. And then you got to put a tuner on it, so there's just no getting around it. You can flash the brain, I guess, but you know, this one's using a DynoJet Power Vision tuner, and it was tuned on the DynoJet, and she's making almost 100 foot-pounds of torque now. And with these baggers, it's really torque that gets them going, not horsepower. Horsepower is your friend in the drag strip. Torque is your friend on the highway. So this guy pulls pretty good now, and it runs probably the way it ought to run. Performance is by no means breathtaking, especially when you're talking about somebody like myself who's spent their formative motorcycle years on a Japanese inline 4 that also had performance work done to them. I never rode them stock for very long. In fact, when I lived in California, I brought mine to Vance and Hines. Vance and Hines actually had retail shops there with mechanics, and you could bring your bikes in, and they'd jet your carburetors,